Hey there, so welcome back to We Don't Do Boring, a podcast by me, Andy Hancock. And this show is all about time, experience, money, balance, compromise, and communication. So that's why I'm here, to communicate with you, the people I may or may not know around the planet. Fantastic stuff. And it's my spot on the little green and blue dot. I know I never say things in the same order, do I? No. I know my son will be screaming at me going, continuity, Dad, continuity. Whatever. Okay, son. And so... But what's the show about this week? Well, the show today is about the harder I work, the luckier I get. And as I've discussed before, there's no such thing as luck. Right. So I just work harder, really. But because it's not luck, it's the harder I work, the more opportunities I give myself. Okay, so that's great. Okay, what does that mean? All right. Well, there's another little thing that goes with that in my life and other people's lives I know. Everybody's life, in fact, if you think about it, you never know who's watching. So whether you work in an office or whether you're a crazy artist like I am, yes, it's funny how people view artists. People see my yard, which is less than tidy, okay? And when they're asked, their neighbours will say, yo, what does that guy do next door? And you say, oh, he's an artist. And they go, oh. And they never ask any more questions. So it's a fantastic excuse to have your yard littered with things. But anyway, back onto the point, Andy. That's the point of the show, having a point. So in days of old, when I used to sell, when I first started my art career, not only did I have a full-time job, because I wasn't a full-time artist when I started, I changed lanes slowly, as I talked about last week, or the week before, whenever it was. And I used to go to art demonstrations and shows and all this sort of thing, get my chainsaw out and start carving. Sometimes I'd be paid to be there, and sometimes I wouldn't. So I went in the vain hope that somebody would buy the sculpture I made on the day. And that's how I earned a living for my family. I enjoyed what I was doing, but obviously it was about feeding my family. And I knew I could earn more money. Because I'd previously been in the insurance industry where, as a salesman, there is no limit to what you can earn. Theoretically, there's so many hours in the day, obviously. So that's it. So I wanted to sell more, but then somebody might see something, and after listening to what I was doing, saying and watching me, they might decide to ask me a question like, "We're looking for somebody to do this. Could you help us with that?" Or, they would say, "We were trying to find somebody, but we can't find anybody to make us one of these. Have you ever done one of those?" And sometimes I could help and sometimes I couldn't. But it didn't really matter. Again, the more times I did these shows and the more times I put myself in front of people, the more opportunities I got to talk to new people who may well buy my stuff. That's the way I developed my art business. I didn't have patrons. I did have patrons in certain cases, but much later on, when I got a bit more famous, And I'm not famous. I'm locally famous. I'm the guy that lives down the road who makes art. All right? I'm not world famous. I'm not even nationally famous. I'm not even locally famous sometimes. Anyway, so, but if I hadn't done the demos, I never would have met these people, you see. If I had a 9 to 5, I've always found it amusing when people say, well, that's all very well, but I can't make any more hours in the day. I already work 9 to 5. When I first came to America, I heard this expression TGIF. And I had to ask somebody, I said, what's TGIF? And they said, well, thank God it's Friday. Oh, what's the matter with Fridays? Because I worked every day, and then I worked Saturday and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday and the rest of the days, and one day fades into another, really, because if I have a job to do, I don't stop on Friday afternoon and say, well, that's it, lad, sorry, see ya. If, for example, I have to change lanes, which I do when I'm doing wood sculpture, and then somebody books a sandcastle lesson, yes, I have to stop the wood sculpture and go and do the sandcastle lesson, because that's the way I earn my money. And it's very weird when you have to do that, because you have to change lanes and change mindsets too. So it's a different thing. But that's what I would do. So 9 to 5 never really existed. So also people said that, oh, well, I've got 2 jobs. Or 3, I've had to take a 3rd job to pay my bills. And I thought, okay, wow, 3 jobs. Because I used to think of jobs being full-time. And then I'd realize that it took me a long time to realize, because I'm a bit slow, really. It's a bit thick. I'm a bit slow. It took me a long time to realise that I've had 4 or 5 jobs my whole life, and because I've always been in different things. You know, I work on motorcycles, then I do some wood sculpture, then I'd sell some insurance, and then I'd work on motorcycles, and then I'd do something else. I'd build a container home. I've always had more than one thing to do, and I've always made them run together because it helps me. It's a balance with my head, and balance in my head is not easy, I can tell you. But no, it's a balance. It's a healthy balance because I can change lanes and engage my brain in something. When I'm getting tired of doing something, I can just change lanes and do it like that. So I've always found that an easy thing to do. So, so I've always had 3 jobs or 4 jobs or 5 jobs. It's, I don't really see it like that. I see it as a chance to be more creative. I just don't see it. Oh, see that bit of paper? See there? Anyway, so how's this going to help you? Okay, you're stuck in an office, and you're thinking, what is this got to do with me? And you can't get any more hours. It's run that way, okay? You can't follow your passion because you have to keep your job. And so you can't just jump ship or change lanes or do whatever. You have to earn money. Well, there's only one solution to that, and that's communication. Oh, there's that word again. If you communicate with the boss and tell him, be honest with your boss or her, or your colleague or your partner or whoever it is, and say, I want to spend more time following my passion. I want to go walking more. I want to, sell ribbons. I don't know, whatever your passion is. I want to go dancing. I don't know. You have to communicate and tell them. But if you're in a job where your boss only wants one thing out of you, he's going to pay you so much money to do the job that he wants. And if you give him more, he'll take it. He won't pay you anymore. Okay, but you can work harder, and hard-working people always stand out. So you'll be a model employee. But if you want to move up the ranks or you want to do something, why don't you go and communicate with your boss and ask him if he wouldn't mind explaining what he would like to do in the future? And perhaps you could help with that. Because, the very fact you're asking means you are intelligent and you have the ability to communicate. So those are 2 things that could help him move up a notch and do the things he wants to do by giving you a few more hours and paying you a bit more money to help him get there. So it's a balance. It's a compromise. He doesn't want to pay you any more money unless he earns more money. Okay, so if you can convince him and you appear to be good enough to fulfill what he wants to do, he's going to give you a chance. He, she, it, whatever. Okay? But you have to communicate. If you don't tell him and you just sit there and stewing and never say a word, well, how do you expect him to know? He's not going to know. So you have to communicate honestly, and then you'll know that. It's vital. Communication is just vital. And I'm not talking about a Zoom meeting. Yeah, I tried those. Those are strange. Having to wait to speak and type things out, and you press a little button so your light comes on, and I don't know, it's just weird. I'd rather talk to you face to face. I'd rather shake your hand and say, "Hi, hey, I'm Andy. How are you? What can I do for you?" So, and I've just met one of my fans on the beach, and it's on Facebook, and she was absolutely lovely, and she's a nurse practitioner, fabulous lady, fabulous family. She's been building sandcastles for 10 years. And unless she'd seen me on YouTube, she never would have come down to South Padre to meet me, which was fabulous. It was great to meet her, and yeah, very skilled lady, and obviously great at what she does as well, being a nurse practitioner, so that's cool. So you need to have a balance, because work all the time, and no play, bit dull, right? And like I said, busy people stand out, but there's another thing. Busy people don't have time. They make it. Okay, and that's true. So-and-so with every schedule lined up, got his little pad and his secretary or whatever it is scheduling, and he's going on and on. Oh, I could, but I want to go and do this. Okay, get rid of 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 5 o'clock. He'll make time. She'll make time. They'll make time. Doesn't matter, okay? There are very busy podcasters and life coaches around the country, and they might, somebody might pick me to go and talk on their show. That'd be fabulous, wouldn't it? Right? It would be fabulous. I'd love to go and talk on somebody else's show. It'd save me talking to myself, and I could meet another expert, obviously. So, but yeah, communication is vital, and that's what you have to do. You have to be honest, and you have to explain the balance you want to achieve and how you're going to get there. back to that door again that said, if you have a problem, that's fine. Don't walk through this door until you know how to solve it. Same deal. Okay. So if I couldn't, when people approach me and said, we can't find anybody to do this, all right, how do you get past that? How do you, how do you tell them that you're the guy? All right. Well, they've already seen you working and they've already heard you communicating. So you're 90% of the way there, I can assure you, because they wouldn't have asked the question unless they felt confident in your ability. Like hardworking people, they'll be spotted because they're always busy. They're always running around. Well, who's that? That's Mary. Oh, yeah, she's always running about. Why is she so busy? Well, Mary's, yeah, she's top notch. She does everything. She's bang on. So Mary will be known for always being busy, but also being very good. So that's, that's very easy. So now, if communication doesn't work, what do you do then? Well, it might be time to change lanes. It's a very hard decision to make, to leave somewhere, but obviously you make preparations. You already find yourself a job before you leave the old one. If you're an artist, what do you do when things just aren't selling? Like sometimes, we're in the middle of a recession now. My artwork might slow down. My Sandcastle deal lessons might slow down. Tourists might not travel. You can't worry about it. It's like worrying about the weather. You can't worry about it. You can be aware of it. And you can make preparations that if you do earn less, you spend less. That's simple economics. But that's all you can do. There's no golden rule. I can't give you a book on how to solve that. There is no solving it. So it's just like coffee. I'm very depressed. It's with the greatest respect to everybody who's listening to this. The greatest excuse we had for the last 3 years, and I'm not belittling the thing at all, it was a deadly virus, is COVID. Okay, but COVID then grew into a thing where you could get away with anything. Oh yeah, it was COVID. And people just accepted it. Well, some of the time, not half the time, some of the time, it was nonsense. Well, that's now morphed. It's morphed into supply chain. Really? Supply chain is why I can't get coffee? This is nuts. America runs on coffee. I don't know whether you noticed, but I like coffee. So if anybody coffee related is listening to this, French vanilla, please. And you can send an entire sack of it. That'll be great. Got to be ground, dear. I haven't got one of those posh things. So, supply chain. So excuses are excuses as far as I'm concerned. If somebody works, you don't find the very busy people and the people who are really getting somewhere saying they've got problems. But yeah, there's a lot of other people who do, and that can be infuriating, especially when they're standing in your way. So, it's that's why I want to know how you're communicating with people. What are you doing? How are you making the difference where you are? All right? I make a difference where I am because I communicate to people. I'm doing this. So why am I doing a podcast? Well, in the future, I won't be physically capable of doing what I do now. I'm aware of that. So I'm making plans now, making plans for Nigel. Yes, answers on a postcard. I'm making plans so in the future I can do podcasts and other virtual stuff, visual stuff, I should say, not virtual. So I don't have to do the physical work I do now, and maybe I'll be able to earn a living from it or something from it. Maybe I won't. But I enjoy doing it, so that's why I do it, and that's why I dedicate time to it, because it's one of the only forms of communication where I can reach the followers of mine across all the different things that I do. It's just not possible with anything else. So that's what I have to do, and that's why I'm practicing this. And I know, yes, the lighting's got to get better, the sound's got to get better, I need a better camera, I need a big posh studio with trophies and TVs on it and stuff. And not belittling anybody else's studio, but I haven't got one like that. So am I working towards that as a full-time podcaster? No, I'm not. But I am going to slowly change lanes and get certainly better at editing. Because I haven't shown you any pictures yet, have I? And there's no stills popping across the screen while I'm talking. And there's no video. Because I haven't learned how to put it all together yet. That's right, because I'm old. Takes a while. This is very thick, okay? So there's a lot of people nodding their heads there, I'll tell you. Anyway, so it's... I know I won't be capable of doing the heavy stuff, so that's why I'm making plans for the future. I continue to work hard. And I had a great, I've been sanding dolphins today. Yes, I have a dolphin installation at a well-known restaurant, and I've been sanding those today, and they're terrible dolphins. They will not sit still. I mean, all I'm trying to do is sand you so you're nice and smooth, but no. Not really, but no. So I've been working on that all day. So I could have not bothered with my podcast. Thought, oh, I'm too tired. But I want to do the podcast because I want to communicate. Because I when I'm working now, I'm thinking of ideas for my podcast. So, but then I have to get home and try and figure them out. That's a lot more difficult than it looks. So, so I'm talking into an empty camera. To convince you of a few things. So number one, always enjoy the ride in the great material continuum. Yes, like a mighty river. Okay, creation always begins with destruction. Yeah. Okay, and press the follow, like, subscribe, smash the notification bell. Don't do that, I'll have to fix it. Okay, do all that stuff. And why? Because we don't do boring. Yes, I'll see you next time. Bye.